you're looking for the best Pablo Escobar tours in Medellin, or if you're just a fan of the TV show Narcos, you're in the right place. In this video, you'll see everything about the house where Escobar was killed, the infamous jail that he built for himself called La Catedral, the mansion he lived in at Hacienda Naploes, his grave, the neighborhood he developed for the poor people of Medellin, and probably a big surprise, how you might meet face to face with the world's most dangerous man, like I did. All of this and more in a few seconds. My name is Sorin, and I'm the co-producer of a show called Travel by Dart, which turned into my lifestyle. In every episode I throw a dart at the world map and travel wherever it lands. I invite you to come with me to the coolest places in the world, as I've seen them all and went from fabulous experiences to extremely remote living. Let's live a life with no regrets. Travel with me. I grew up in Romania thinking that Medellin, Colombia is the worst place on earth. It was because I heard daily news about the thousands of gruesome murders, from journalists to politicians. Stories of Pablo Escobar and Popeye Velasquez and all the car bombings and bloodbaths made me wish that I would never end up in Colombia. As fate has it, it happened. Life took me to Medellin almost 30 years later. Not only that, I accidentally met face to face with Popeye in an encounter that froze my veins. But I'll get to that in a second. Let's get into what's left today from Pablo Escobar's fortune. One thing you have to keep in mind is that what Pablo Escobar did for Colombia was an unmeasurable damage. Even now the locals hate hearing tourists talking about him, so if you visit Medellin, don't be stupid and loud about El Patron. You won't make any friends. Let me know if you go there so I can hook you up with the best guide you can have, Diego. Use the link to my blog in the description of this video so you can send me a message if you need his contact. Now let's get you on the Escobar tour. In the late 70s, early 80s, Pablo and his family lived at Hacienda Naploes, halfway between Medellin and Bogota. The mansion is shown in many movies like Narcos and Blow, and you recognize it by the famous entrance having a small plane on top. This is a replica of the first plane that Escobar used to transport cocaine to the United States. How does it look now? Well, it's completely transformed into something else. Hacienda Naploes became an attraction park, but it still has the memorial house. Even his helicopter is a replica here. It is mostly because everything was destroyed by people or nature, or stolen from the property as soon as the mansion wasn't his anymore. This is his collection of luxurious cars that got set on fire. These cars, along with this piece of railing, are the only things left at Hacienda Naploes that are the original parts of what belonged to Escobar. In the rest, the attraction park is a family place today. It features a zoo with wild animals such as lions, hippos, and even flamingos. The admission fee at Hacienda Naploes is 80,000 Colombian pesos, which is about $30. Going back to Medellin, one of the most attractive places for the Escobar tour is the Los Olivos neighborhood. This is the house where Escobar got killed, and you probably recognize the roof if you watch the shows or documentaries about it. The house where Escobar spent his last few days until December 2nd, 1993, is now owned by a real estate company but has an interesting story. Sold for a bit over $250,000, the property was in a bad shape until 2008 when it was purchased and finally renovated. Prior to that, the house was abandoned and inhabited by homeless people and often vandalized by robbers who broke the walls in hopes of finding money and other treasures. The property made the news in 2014 when two men with guns disguised as employees of a phone company entered the house next door, intimidated the owner, and destroyed the walls in search of cash and weapons. Let's go to the next stop. The government was not the only one who wanted Escobar dead or alive, but also his competitors. We're at the Monaco Building, which the Cali cartel bombed in January 1988. This is the building where Pablo and his family lived at the time, so the Cali cartel planted an explosive in a car at the entrance, in hopes of killing the drug lord and take away the business. 2 guards died, 5 others were injured, while Escobar's family was untouched. The blast left a hole 25 feet wide and the damage of $7.5 million. You may not see this building anymore if you go to Medellin, as the government decided to demolish it soon. Let's move on to the next neighborhood. The only people who were thankful for some of Escobar's actions were the inhabitants of a poor neighborhood called Medellín back in the day. In 1982, Pablo built over 800 houses which provided shelter for thousands of homeless in hopes that he would get elected as a representative in the congressional elections, which didn't happen. The neighborhood is called now Barrio Pablo Escobar and is one of the few places in Colombia where you can find memorabilia with El Patron, from books and keychains to coffee and even a hair salon that holds his name. From all the places you've seen so far, probably the one that would give you the most chills would be Pablo Escobar's grave, located in the Monte Sacro cemetery. Not only because you'll step on Pablo's actual tomb, but because there is a chance that you may meet face to face with some of his old lieutenants who are still alive. When I arrived at Escobar's grave, John Jaime Velasquez, aka Popeye, was there. Popeye, the one who was responsible for the death of over 2,000 Colombians and killed even his own pregnant girlfriend. He was in front of me. After 23 years in jail for his crimes, Popeye now visits the cemetery very often to pay respects to his former boss. We chatted and even took a picture to capture the moment while the video wasn't allowed. Named by Daily Mirror the world's most dangerous man, Popeye wrote a book after his release from prison called Surviving Escobar. He is also a YouTube video blogger and has over 700,000 subscribers. If you make Escobar's grave part of your tour, chances are you will meet not just Popeye, but many other ex-convicts, either organizing tours or selling books. The last stop of the Escobar tour is the infamous La Catedral, the prison that Pablo designed himself when he decided to surrender in 1991. It is a bit of a drive to it, but for a reason.
Desde Medellín hasta la Catedral son 20 minutos.
Situated on the top of a mountain overlooking Medellin, so Escobar can use a telescope to see his family at the Monaco Building while talking to them on the phone, La Catedral was more like a mansion. The property included a soccer pitch, game rooms, party rooms, a helicopter pad, and even a rotating bed where he would bring girls for his pleasure. If you watch the movies about Escobar's life, you know that he had everything he needed there. Not to mention, he would even order to have enemies brought to the mansion only to be tortured and killed. When the Colombian government decided to move Escobar to a standard prison, he immediately found out and escaped La Catedral through this back gate, throwing himself into wilderness and generating a 600 people manhunt. Running through the forest through this exact footpath, Escobar managed to avoid getting caught for another year and a half. What is La Catedral today? After being deserted for over 20 years, in 2007 a group of monks arrived here and transformed it into a meditating place. The building features a chapel, a library, a cafeteria, and a guest house for religious pilgrimages. And is not even done yet, as it's in a continuous remodeling. Oh, and this thing, once used for Pablo Escobar's helicopter, I used it to fly my drone. Subscribe to my YouTube channel right here to see a lot of other crazy stuff I did, or on the other hand, check out my blog right here where you can see a bunch of other adventures such as Bermuda Triangle diving or the Forgotten Easter Island. Thank you for watching.